Pleasant day, learners! This is Teacher Jana de la Cruz, and welcome for another exciting topic in Mathematics 9. Our topic for today is about Proof's theorem on the different kinds of parallelogram: rectangle, square, and rhombus. Learners, what do you call this figure? Yes, very good. It's a rectangle. And what is rectangle? True! Rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. The following are proofs on theorem of rectangles. Theorem number 1 states that if a parallelogram is a rectangle, then it has congruent diagonals. Refer to the figure parallelogram ABCD. Line segment AC and line segment DB are the diagonals of ABCD. If the measure of line segment AC is equal to the measure of line segment DB, then line segment AC is congruent to line segment DB. If line segment AC is congruent to line segment DB, then ABCD is a rectangle. Let's have an example to further analyze it. In a rectangle ABCD, diagonal line segment AC is equal to 15 cm. What is the measure of line segment DB? In theorem number 1, if a parallelogram is a rectangle, then it has congruent diagonals. So line segment AC is congruent to line segment DB, and line segment AC measures 15 cm. Therefore, line segment DB is also 15 centimeters. Do you get it? Very good. Let's have theorem number 2. If a parallelogram has at least one right angle, then the parallelogram is a rectangle. In the given figure, as we can see that angle D is a right angle. In a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. So angle B, which is opposite to angle D, is also a right angle. Therefore, angle D and angle B are congruent. Another is in a parallelogram, consecutive angles are supplementary. Angle D and angle B are consecutive angles at the same time, supplementary. So, angle D plus angle A is equal to 180 degrees. Angle D is 90 degrees plus angle A is equal to 180 degrees. You just substitute the given values. Therefore, angle A is equal to 180 degrees minus 90 degrees, and angle A is 90 degrees. Since angle D and angle A are both 90 degrees, angle B and angle C are also 90 degrees. Let's have an example. In a rectangle KIND, if the measurement of angle K is 90 degrees, then the other 3 angles also measures 90 degrees. By applying the property of parallelogram, consecutive angles are supplementary. The measure of angle K plus the measure of angle I, which are consecutive angles, and supplementary, which is 180 degrees. Since angle K is equal to 90 degrees plus the measure of angle I is equal to 180 degrees. Then, perform the operation. The measure of angle I is equal to 180 degrees minus 90 degrees. So, the measure of angle I is equal to 90 degrees. Let's have another one. The measure of angle I plus the measure of angle N is equal to 180 degrees. Substitute the given values, we will have 90 degrees plus the measure of angle N is equal to 180 degrees. Perform the operation, we will have the measure of angle N is equal to 180 degrees minus 90 degrees, so the measure of angle N is 90 degrees. Let's have the third. The measure of angle N plus the measure of angle D is equal to 180 degrees. And 90 degrees plus the measure of angle D is 180 degrees. We just substitute the given value of angle N. The measure of angle D is equal to 180 degrees minus 90 degrees by performing N. So, the measure of angle D is equal to 90 degrees. The measurement of the 4 angles of a rectangle KIND are all 90 degrees. And those are the 2 theorems of rectangle which are proven. Any questions about these two theorems, learners? Okay, very good. Let us proceed to the next classification of parallelogram. Learners, what do you call this figure? Yes, correct. It's a rhombus. And what is rhombus? Very good. A parallelogram with four equal sides. We are going to discuss the proofs on theorems of rhombus. Let's have theorem number 1. If a parallelogram is a rhombus, its diagonals bisects a pair of opposite angles. Given the rhombus DRAW with diagonal line segment DA and line segment RW. Line segment DA bisects angle D and angle E, resulting to congruent angles. Angle WDA is congruent to angle RDA, and WAD is equal to angle RAD. And line segment RW bisects angle R and angle W, resulting to congruent angles. The angles are angle DWR, which is congruent to angle AWR, and angle DRW is congruent to angle ARW. Let's have an example. If angle ABD is equal to 42 degrees, find the measure of angle ABC. Angle ABD is congruent to angle CBD because each diagonals of rhombus bisects a pair of opposite angles. Line segment BD bisects angle B and angle D. And the measure of angle ABD is equal to 42 degrees. The measure of angle CBD is equal to 42 degrees, and the measure of angle ABD plus the measure of angle CBD is equivalent to the measure of angle ABC. Therefore, by substituting the given values, we will have 42 degrees plus 42 degrees is equal to the measure of angle ABC. We just substitute the given values of the angle ABD and angle CBD. Therefore, if we will perform it, we will get 84 degrees as the measure of angle ABC. And that is the theorem number 1 for rhombus. Let's have the theorem number 2. If a parallelogram is a rhombus, then the diagonals are perpendicular. Given rhombus ABCD with diagonals line segment EC and line segment BD. If the diagonals form four right angles, we have the angles angle AEB, angle AED, angle DEC, and angle BEC. Then, line segment EC is perpendicular to line segment BD. Let's have an example. The measure of angle AED is equal to 90 degrees. Therefore, the measure of angle ADE plus the measure of angle DAE plus the measure of the angle AED is equivalent to 180 degrees. Then, let's substitute the given values. We have the measure of angle AED, or the measure of angle ADE is 35 degrees plus the measure of angle DAE, which is not given, plus the measure of angle AED, which is 90 degrees, is equal to 180 degrees. And then, perform the operation. We will have the measure of angle DAE plus 125 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Combine like terms, we will get the measure of angle DAE is equal to 180 degrees minus 125 degrees. Therefore, the measure of angle DAE is equal to 55 degrees. And as you can see, the other angles of the rhombus given is angle AEB is equal to 55 degrees, angle ABE is equal to 35 degrees, angle ABC is equal to 35 degrees, angle ECB is equal to 55 degrees, angle ECD is equal to 55 degrees, and angle EDA is equal to 35 degrees. Any questions about theorems on rhombus? Okay, nice. The next classification of parallelogram is, that's right, a square. And what is a square? Great! A parallelogram with four right angles such as rectangle and four equal sides like rhombus. So, always remember and keep in mind, All the theorems of rectangles and rhombus are applied to square. So therefore, don't forget about the theorems of rectangles and rhombus because that is also applied to square. And that is all about the theorems on the different kinds of parallelogram. Thank you and God bless us all.